Doing good, man. Glad you could join us.
Hate you missed out on the hillbilly, what do you call it?
Rodeo.
No, what's he call it? He calls it hillbilly welfare.
Oh, yeah. Mountain welfare.
Yeah, mountain welfare, that's it.
Yeah, mountain welfare tournament.
Oh, yeah, well, there'll be more next week.
Hey, I went through school and they called me Fender Bender.
Fender bender, there we go.
Just call him the Dutchman.
Yeah, that's what they call me.
Dutchman. Why is that?
Because it's a Dutch name, but I look like I don't.
Even though he looks Mexican.
This kid's going to have this team. At first, all of us were very against having YouTubers because of the dynamic of our team anyway. But we met Gabe's dad and we're like, look, we're not here to be an
Every dad's dream words to hear, right?
That's it, yeah. His dad's like, well, you know what? If I bring him to win the Robin Show and all this other stuff,
The Eat, Sleep, Fly, Fish Show.
All right, welcome to the Eat, Sleep, Fly, Fish podcast. We're here with Team Dead Drift and Ben Vandevender.
Yeah.
Was that good?
That was close.
Did I get it close?
Yeah,
Close, but not right.
Yeah.
So it's the speed in which you say it, right? I'm just
Not
slow. I'm country. Not
Vandevender.
I'll put my East Tennessee accent on it. Ben Vandevender.
That'll work. Hey, I went through school and they called me Fender Bender. So I'm just...
Fender bender. There we go.
That's a whole lot easier.
That's good.
Just call him the Dutchman.
Yeah, that's what they call me on the
Dutchman.
team, the Dutchman.
Why is that?
Because it's a Dutch name, but I look like I don't.
Even though he looks Mexican.
There you go.
Don't hold
We're
nothing back now. If something comes to your mind, just go ahead and let it roll.
Yeah, we can have
I
it
got you. I'll try to filter things a little bit. We're kind of politically incorrect around here sometimes.
That's
But
right.
we have a good time. Ben knows, I think, the world of him. We've been through the mud some, so we go back a ways.
That's right.
So let's introduce everybody that's here. And you guys will have to kind of pull those microphones. They kind of be aiming at your mouth, so if you want to talk, just point it towards your mouth and go with it. So, Zach, tell us your name. Not Zach, sorry. Kevin, my bad. I mean, good. You got to get that one right. Come on now.
Yeah, that one's easy. My name's Kevin Crenshaw. I've been on Team Dead Drift officially since January, so pretty new to competitive fly fishing. My last one was last January in Helmand.
Your first tournament was last January?
July.
Last July? So you're liking it so far, huh?
Oh, yeah, I love it. It's fun. It's a lot of fun, especially when you're closer to home.
Yeah. So you live close to here?
I live in Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you do for a living when you're not fly fishing?
I'm a critical care paramedic at Grady Hospital, so that keeps me busy, especially the past few months.
I'll bet.
Yeah, you're really busy.
We have a hero among us, right?
That's right.
All right.
Joe Pollock. I also live north of Atlanta. Actually, a little bit closer than you guys are. I live about an hour away from here, but my home waters are usually the Beaufort Dam tail race. But I've been doing competitive fly fishing for the 18 Gold Cup, I think was my first one. So that was it. So I work for Concur, SAP Concur. I manage several areas of support globally for SAP Concur, my real job. I also do a little bit of guiding here when I can.
18 Gold Cup. Is that when it rained out the second day? We had to fish Smith Creek.
Yes.
No,
We
that
had
was,
to-
then it was the year before that.
Oh, yeah, that's
because-
right.
We just cut it. We just cut
Yeah, that's
it.
when we had to just cut it loose. Yeah, when Vlad and Marty went.
Yeah, no, we fished both days the first year that I did. When it rained like crazy the second day.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's when we finished just when we at the time.
Yeah, we finished because it was going up and up and up and up at the end of the day.
That's right. Okay, that was 18. So yeah, 19.
19 was when we cut.
Yeah, we cut 19 short.
And of course, we got Sean Big Fish Isaacs with us.
Lived up to his name today.
Glad to be here.
Thank you very much.
No doubt.
So I want to give a special introduce to Ben Vandevender.
We'll take it.
But anyway, this guy is basically responsible for, I mean, I love competition fly fishing, and Kevin is getting into it. He loves it. A lot of guys are getting back into it now. It was hot there for a while, and it kind of died out. Now it's coming back, and it's mostly due to this guy right here. And he does, obviously he loves fishing, but he will not fish so he can hold these competitions for people. Like, for example, today,
Yeah.
no fishing. You hang around,
Easy.
watch everybody hammer these fish, and that's not easy. I mean, even when I'm judging, just for an hour and a half, I'm like, get a rod in my hand, please, I'm dying,
I feel it, believe me.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, it's a lot easier when you don't have to worry about all the extra stuff, while you're fishing, and not worried about, man, I wonder if beat 6, if that guy really went to his beat. Do I need to go up there and check on that? Because you got two, because from competing, you can't have stuff running through your head.
Right.
And like when you're trying to run these things, it's like
Right.
too much stuff going on
Right.
to really fish the best you can. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And there's enough things that can happen.
Definitely. And then join us via cell phone is Mark Adams. And Mark, we're glad to have you, man.
Glad to be here, guys. The fact is, I'm glad to be anywhere, to be honest with you. Good to talk with you. And, you were talking about Ben. I can't say enough good things about Ben. He's made a difference with everybody involved with competitive angling. It wouldn't be anywhere near the level that it is without him. And also, I have to mention his lovely wife, Heather. She's been a real good sport and made a lot of contributions along the way too.
That's the truth there, Mark. And I appreciate you bringing that up because it has not been easy on some, as a family period. And then trying to run multiple teams, run multiple events for all these teams, it does take its toll.
Yeah, she's actually out on the front porch right now, sitting down and probably going, I wish she'd hurry up.
That's right, yeah. We'll bring her in here. I'll let her talk and tell her side of it. Because I know there's lots of people that, have a wife or a significant other, and she probably has a good little mindset on, because one thing I learned early on, well, not even early on, but one thing I learned is you got to really balance.
Oh.
And if you can't, and that is a hard thing to do when you think that you're the only person keeping something afloat. And like, if you don't do those things, like what you work hard for is just going to disappear. And you really got to try and balance and juggle things. But she's a testament to all that. And I think she has a very unique perspective on that. And it's because she's been involved. We've been doing this since 2009, so she's been around the block a time or two with all this stuff. And
Yeah.
she's been around the block a time or two on my butt about it. But
Seen it, done it. This is just another one of those,
That's right,
kind of
yes.
routine type deal. Yeah, I definitely would like to hear her side of the story because nobody hears that part of it, And I mean, how many? We all, as a guys, we all have our points of insanity, right? And we have our women that put up with it pretty much.
that's all it is they put up with it. Eventually they get tired of putting up with it. It's like, well, you got to strike that even balance of it.
Yeah.
Fishing again?
I'm not sure if I want Heather telling some of her stories or not.
That's true too, Mark. I'm sure she's got her own. I may regret saying that, but I think it would be beneficial to people to hear, and because I mean there's so many sides to this whole story, and I think it's it's a unique story. Period. I mean, if you look at what all dead drift and just competitive fly fishing has been through over the last couple of years, I mean it's been this huge upswing to pretty much nothing. Then finally we got this nice upswing, and thanks to guys like Sean, Joe, all y'all here, Roger, people that will help split the load. Because there for a long time, like I was like a one-man show.
Yeah.
And man, you just can't do that all the time. And it really takes its toll on you, your family, everything. And you know, you really, I don't know, you realize you've kind of bred, you got this little baby of yours, you know, you don't want something to happen to it. But at some point you have to go, okay, that guy's got vested interest in this, you know, and he enjoys it, and you know, I know he'll take care of it, and I can split the load with him, and he's not make sure it isn't going to go down the drain. Because as a president of a team, I've been down that road a lot too, where there's guys I entrust to stuff to get something done, and it don't happen, and it's like, you know, it's a lot easier if I just do this myself, do everything myself. But you can only do that for so long.
You can delegate more now.
Yeah, because at a point you're like, what am I gaining, right?
Yeah, it's like, I'm just not gaining anything.
Yeah, everybody else is getting the benefit from my sweat, right?
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? I don't even have days I could fish lately, you know? Eventually that's what it turns down
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of your current members right now. That list is long, right?
We
As
have a very large team.
as young Lawson pointed out in their last F3 podcast.
Yes, we are a large team. And I will say that we have, even though we're a large team, we, just like Mark, you're on the phone now, Mark is what we would consider a retired team member. He doesn't really compete a lot. But since he's one of our
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing, guys. I can hear Roger pretty good, and that's about it.
I'm sorry. I was saying, Mark, about how our team is large, that we have, like, you're a retired member now, but that since you're an original member of this team, you're still a team member. The original guys on this team have what I consider legacy status, and just don't go anywhere. Because, I mean, without y'all are guys like Mark were the guys that paved the way, you know, so to speak. And so we have several legacy members, but then you always have to have fresh blood. And Mark, are you hearing me okay now? Mark.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I hear you.
Okay, I was explaining about how that you were a legacy member, even though you're retired from the
Yeah,
from the
well,
team. Because
I'm just a hanger on. That's about what I am. but it's been it's been the most fun I ever had. You know, we started this. Ben started this thing 10 years ago. I guess
11
in
now.
that little pub down there on near Cochran Shoals.
That's
And,
right.
or Pace's Mill rather. And I'm trying to think of who all the original guys were. I'm sure I'll leave some out. There's Ben, myself, Scott Brown, Pat Bretchbill, Corey Roberts, Brett Nelson, Derek Geldhauser. Help me out with some of the others, Ben. Seemed like there were about 10 of us.
Jamie Sullivan and Brandon Withrow. You mentioned Pat Bretchbill, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a few too.
Kenny Simmons, was Kenny there?
Yeah, Kenny Simmons, that's another one. Heather Vandevender.
Heather was there, yeah. It just kind of turned into a family. I mean, it was a lot of fun, and it's a great way for anybody to learn about fly fishing and some of the different techniques. It's just, get out and go to these competitions and judge a little bit and get a feel for it, and then just go for it. It's a great way to learn. And
I'll tell you one thing, even though we've always been a big team, is that it's been a really big, it's like a family kind of thing. Even though we're big, like you can ask the new guys, we have a very interactive online presence with each other. We always coordinate with each other. Now, I don't get to fish near as much as I used to. Now, mind you, back when this was big, I was dragging my family and stuff up to things. We would have competitions 3 times a month. So, I mean, that's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of competitions, yeah. So, they get sick of that real quick. You burn out really quick. But we always made time for each other then. I don't get near that amount of time to fish anymore. But, like, the way these guys network on our team now, to fish with each other and be, hey, I got the day off. We're going to go out here. And then everybody's like, okay, here we go. We're going to go meet you up or whatever. It really is a nice mesh. And we have guys like Mark who are certified casting instructors who offer help and instruction to any of these guys if they want to take it. And then, like, one thing I think that was big with me and Mark when we were talking about this is how Team Dead Drift became a 501c3, and we're really big about doing stuff with the community. And Mark, help me think of things we did, like we usually did the Euro Nymphing clinics.
Is that how Dead Drift started? I mean, you guys kind of got together and did some clinics, in the community, and then like, hey, let's form a team. And
so me and Derek Geldhauser got together. I met Derek Geldhauser, and I hope he listens to this, remembers this story. Is I was guiding, and I saw his ad on Craigslist, right? And I knew he didn't have a permit, so I was just being a little bit of a prick and messaging back and forth. And I was like, hey, we can meet. You want to go up here and fish? And I was going to call him out. And anyways, I met him, and I was like, this guy's pretty cool. I ain't going to be a prick to him. And,
Yeah, I feel bad.
yeah, I felt bad. I was like, well, hey, man, there's this tournament going on in Cherokee called the Rumble. And it's like the second year it ever happened. I was like, you want to go fish this thing? And he's like, yeah, that's cool. So we met up a couple of times and fished together. And we went to the Rumble, and, like, you know, we came in, like, 5th place on everybody, you know. We were like, hey, this ain't bad. We did pretty good, you know. And then we did the next year, we got 6th place. I was like, all right, you know.
Was there other teams formed then?
The only team that was formed, there were 2 teams formed then. It was that initial first year was North Carolina, Team North Carolina, and the very beginning of Stonefly. And I believe Stonefly at the time was only 2 guys, which was kind of cool. They kind of blew up after that, then they kind of went downhill. But anyway, so after that happened, we're like, you know what, we're gonna be like Team North Carolina. I said, let's there's some guys in Atlanta I know that can fish. You know, these guys think they're hot stuff. Let's go up there and show up with, you know, these guys are full-time guys. It's like me and you, we're regular guy, regular Joe, you know, working a job. We can get up there and hang. And so we had a little clinic, and we offered this free clinic, me and Derek did, to scope out who could fish. And anyways, we picked out some guys, and after the end of it, we're like, hey, y'all wanna meet and talk about forming a team? And sure enough, they guys like Mark and Brett and everybody, it was like first time meeting them, but man, we all clicked. We met at a pub, had a few beers, laid out what we thought this thing should be, laid out the bylaws that day, and well, then, but I guess that night, Mark, I made an online form and everything, and it was pretty much a done deal, if I remember right. Does that sound about right to you?
I'm still having a hard time hearing, Ben.
Oh, okay. I was just saying about how that night after the Lassiter's Pub, that we pretty much made an online page that night, and the team was pretty much a done deal.
Yeah, that's pretty much the inception of it. Of course, you know, I think it was prior to that. Was it before that or after that that Bork and Chris Lee and Offerberth, some of those guys came down from North Carolina and helped us out, you know,
Yep,
kind of gave us a little kickstart.
That was the next weekend when we were going to get some practice. Yeah. Yep. So that was cool. They came down and helped us out. And then and eventually it grew into this thing where we're like, you know what, we're more than just a bunch of guys that want to fish. You know, let's make a name. Like, let's be something proactive in the community, offer these educational seminars, 2 of them a year. That was how we kept our 501c3. We did the International Film Festival, hosted it. And back then, when competitive fly fishing was big, like Mark can testify this, the amount of stuff that sponsors would give us to give out for these events was insane. Like, Mark, do you remember the IF4 giving out all those waders and Yeti coolers? And
Oh, yeah, I do.
I mean, I bet we gave out $8,000 worth of stuff.
This was 08, 09?
This was probably 2011 or 12, I imagine. This was probably 11 or 12. If I had to.
Yeah, 11 was the first year, and then
that was the first year after we were 501c3.
That was when we had the meeting down there. What was it, Lassiter's?
Yep, that's one. Yep.
And,
so me and Derek fished Rumble 2009, then 2010. Me and him were like, we're gonna have a team. 2011. Go ahead.
I also remember some of those early comps. If you could catch 2 or 3 fish during a session and just at least avoid a blank, you were kind of in the running.
That's right.
Then of course that next year, Gabe and some of those younger guys came in, and the numbers just went berserk. They figured it out and had so much energy and just talent.
So yeah,
and,
I'm gonna touch on that mark right there. So I'm gonna touch not just the fact of Gabe, but I'm gonna touch on the fact of the youth. So that was probably 2012, I would imagine. Right. So around 2012 is when the kids really started saying, you know what, this is kind of cool, it's trendy. You know, this is where, you know, this isn't just my dad's fly fishing. You know, this is fun to me. It's way more interactive. And man, when these kids came out and like the learning curve on a kid versus the adults,
oh yeah,
they got to the point where we're like, man, should we have our own adults only comps? Because we can't even come like in the first top 10 of these things anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It was rough.
Let me know if you get a senior division going.
That's right. I will. That's probably a good thing. I might join you.
Well, like today, me and Sean was up on beat 6, and we, come back with our tails tucked, crying, and Zach Harbin and Nick fished below us, and just wore them out. And I was thinking, those young guys, I mean, they got so much time to spend on it. You know, they're fishing all the time, and we're like, you know, go Saturday evening if you can, or whatever. You know, it's you know, the learning curve is just completely different because so much time on the water. You know, and it shows.
It's 100%.
Sure.
Yeah. Time on the water is everything as far as that goes. And it doesn't matter youth or adult, but those kids, you know, just like a kid grabs a video game, picks it up. Like, so Gabe came to the first competition on the hooch at Paces, and I watched him fish. I was judging him, and I was like, okay, this kid's pretty solid, right? He never done a competition or anything before. We'd all met him. Gosh, he looked like he probably looked like a little 12-year-old girl. And like, but got him out there, man. And I was like, you know what? If you ain't catching fish, why don't you swing some streamers and strip them in? You know, at least you get confidence if you start seeing some flashes.
So you're the one that got him started streamer fishing. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if I'm the one that got him started, but I know that what I told him to do worked, and that was his, like, you know, that's kind of one of his little tips in his bag, I think, now. But so he started stripping his little streamers, and all of a sudden, you know, fish are flashing, and he's like, okay, I got confidence. There's fish here. I'm gonna stick it out. Because sometimes that's all you need is a little bit of confidence to stay there.
Or no fish is there.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you ain't catching them, half the time you're going, there ain't a fish in
Right.
here.
But
Right?
if you know they're there, you're going to keep trying different flies.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all you got to do. Sometimes that's all you can do. You know, and he stuck it out, and he did good. I can't remember what he came in, but I remember we offered him a spot on the team that day. Because I was like, this kid's worth having on this team. And at first, all of us were very against having youth members because of the dynamic of our team anyway. But we met Gabe's dad, and we're like, look, we're not the best. You know, we're not here to be an influence.
Every dad's dream words to hear, right?
That's it, yeah. And his dad's like, well, you know what? If I bring him, don't let him ride with y'all and all this other stuff. It'll probably be okay. But, you know, that's what I was like, man, they got to really talk about this because, you know, do we need youth members on this team? You know? Yeah. And then, so every youth member we ever had, we're like, okay, this is not Sunday school. You know? We probably should be. But I'm just going to be honest with you. There's going to be stuff that, you know, you may not want your kid on this team. But if you do, it's going to be okay. You know, we will take care of my family. But
we have to keep them away from the online chats.
Yes, the online chats are.
We have this one chat that's going. It's been going now for like 6-7 months at least.
Yes.
And you scroll back, and there's months worth of data.
Yes.
Wow.
That is adults only. Adults only.
Yeah.
Yes, we do not have anybody have access to that as a youth.
Just pull that thing around to you and just make sure you talk real close to it. It's seems like it's very. I hear your voice coming in and out.
That might be what it is. But so anyway, so Gabe was our first youth member, and since then we ended up having several. Gabe ended up making Team USA Youth. Hunter Potey, Dylan Rumble. We had a bunch of team youth members that made Team USA. And about that same time, after those youth members kind of went through the whole Team USA youth cycle, and we had Corey Roberts make the Team USA youth cycle. And when Trout Legend, because Trout Legend and Team USA were very different. Like, Team USA kind of wanted to use Trout Legend as kind of like a
farm team?
Like a farm to bring in, which was fine, but that's not what Dejan had envisioned for Trout Legend. And when I was running Trout Legend, it was like, you know what, we're going to stop counting Team USA events toward the league and all this other stuff. Because it ended up being like, we got this league, but our own events people aren't going to because they're choosing Team USA events. So, like, why have it? Basically, it's essentially the same exact league. You know, it's like we have two things that are the same.
Mm-hmm.
And right around that time was, you know, I started going through some personal stuff, which had a relationship from competition fishing. And I'll just be honest, you know, I spent so much time doing all this stuff. I ended up, you know, I neglected my family, and I was focused on the wrong things, and ended up going through a divorce and everything. And thank God my wife, you know, let me try and have another shot at this, you know. And she saw how important this was. I built a lot of this, you know, from nothing. Or that I've made it something that it is now, and I didn't want to see it just go down the drain, because that's exactly what ended up happening. Dejan, I was like, Dejan, I can't run this anymore. You know, I got too much stuff going on. You know, I'm just, you know, you need to get somebody else to do this for now. In stepped John Zimmerman, great dude. I have nothing against him. He had wanted to institute a lot of regulations. Mark, I can't think of anything off the top of my head except requiring everyone to wear a life jacket in every event. But that caused a huge issue and some other things. And basically a lot of the northern teams were like, we're out. And then a lot of the southern teams were kind of like, we're out. And I
Yeah.
think Deadrift was the only one that kind of stuck it in there with a guy named Stephen Fisher, which was our competition organizer. And he tried to host events, but it was gone.
I would have to put the big orange, I would have to wear that out there, right? Hey, I'm legal.
Which I should. So.
Right.
I was just thinking it'd be easier if you fall. You got a little padding going on.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You would think of that.
It was just like anything else. They started complicating it, and anytime you start making things more complicated, it just makes it more difficult for people, and it just turned people off. Yeah. And because I think he wanted everybody to have insurance or something like that, wasn't that right, Ben?
Yeah, everybody was going to pay into insurance, even though some of the teams were paying their own policies. And even if you had your own policy, you had to pay into their policy. And anyways, you're right. There's a lot of weird things that were going on with that, and people were just kind of turned off. But literally so he took over in January. By end of February, like Trial Legend was done. Like that's how fast this transition happened. And so I'm still going through all this stuff, and I was like, Steven, if you can keep it afloat, whenever I'm done going through all this stuff, I will try and see what we can salvage, And luckily, we had people like Mark. Mark did competitions. Well, I think we only had three competitions, and I think only one of them had more than 10 people that year. It was rough. And this was Mark, was this 2015? I'm pretty positive, right? Mark, was that 2015?
I think so. I think it was.
I'm pretty positive it was 2015. So the 2015, then come the next year.
I mean, that's just 4 years. 5
years.
Not long.
Really not a full 5 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, not that long. So all of 2015 passes. 2016, I'm like, okay, these guys are hitting me up going, man, Ben, we really want to do something like this. This is bad. Like, there's not even a single competition. Nobody's hosting anything. So I was like, all right, so let's have our own league. I was like, we'll make our own thing. We don't have to be Trout Legend, And one thing I didn't like about Trout Legend, and it seems really petty kind of, but it's like everybody claimed to be, the best national fly fisherman. Well, but Trout Legend, you're the best trout fisherman with a fly rod, right? And I would always talk to Dejan that even back then we built a separate site that was going to be Bass Legend and then all these other things that kind of tangent off of that. But it never took off. And I was like, let's just make a fly fishing league. It doesn't have to be just trout. Trout can make up the majority because that's what we know and it's easy to do. But, we can do anything we want to do because it's our league. It's not because some of these guys, I can't claim I'm the best fly fisherman in the United States. I know some guys that in Florida that can put a butt whipping on me. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And, you're the best trout fisherman, in my opinion, in the Southeast if you win the league. So I wanted to leave it open so it could grow into something more.
Yeah.
I figured that was a doorway that was open. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But anyway, so Chris Abele and myself, Chris Abele is the head of Team Georgia. I talked with him as he was the most, because I didn't really get a lot of interaction from a lot of the other teams. North Carolina at that point was pretty much done. And Chris wanted his team to have something to do. So really that next year, I guess it was 16, it was really just Team Georgia and Team Deadrift. And we hosted can't remember how many competitions, but we outgrew that way faster than I thought it would. That 2017, or I guess that may have been 2017. Anyways, the very next year, we were like, we got to reanalyze this and we make some changes. And here we are again. This past year, we're like, we've grown a lot. I mean, as we stand right now, we are way, way further ahead than I anticipated, which is a great thing. I'm really excited about that. And the fact we already had to make some changes this year, which I think are going to be good. Some of them might have to be changed again. But that's the thing. You need to leave, with a process like this and trying to create something that everybody benefits from. You need a lot of people involved with it that can put their input in. Because I don't know everything. I can tell you from past experiences. But Roger had some great ideas this year that I may not have ever thought about. Same with Chris. So, we can always learn from each other. Then, if somebody has an idea and I'm like, you know what, we did that. And it didn't turn out too well.
Right.
I can kind of say, hey, because eventually what I want to do, and I don't think many people know this, is eventually I want to be able to hand off Deadrift to somebody and say, can you keep this going? Because I know my daughter's going to be in college. Me and Heather are going to focus on our next part of life. where we want to be at the beach and everything. And then I want somebody, now that we have this league, I don't want it to disappear. I want to be able to pass it off to somebody and be like, there's this really cool thing that a lot of people have vested interest in. Let's just keep it going. You know, it's not mine. It's everybody's.
Yeah.
This is our league. You know, I'm not going to claim that it's my thing.
Well,
Dead Drift isn't mine. Dead Drift is everybody that's a member of this team. And I think that's one thing I try to tell everybody apart, you know, that's on Dead Drift is, you know, we're only as good as each of us members, and we're a family. Even though we may not see each other every day, like we are pretty picky about who we let on because we try and have a very cohesiveness. And I don't take. You can ask any member on the. You can ask Mark. Mark, I don't take no crap from nobody, do I?
No.
Yeah, I don't take no junk from anybody on Team Dead Drift. It does not take much to set me off.
If a judgment call or decision needs to be made, Ben makes it, and that's the end of it. And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Well, and then maybe at that point you can enjoy some fruits of your labors and participate and not kill yourself,
exactly,
right?
Yes.
Because ideally, when you're ahead of everything and you're working your tail off, you're trying to just create something that you could enjoy yourself,
Exactly.
right?
Yes,
I
100%.
totally get that. And I want to talk about and bring Kevin and Joe in on this. We were talking about Gabe and some of the young guys getting better and getting good. And you know, I know from my past experience being on teams, it's not really from one person teaching them everything. It's more like them learning bits and pieces from everyone, even from other teams. I mean, like when you're judging or whatever. So competitive fly fishing, you can grow as an angler really fast just by being on a team, picking up this and that from others, and it can really close the learning curve in being a better angler, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that I learned is that, you know, growing up, I started fly fishing when I was like 16, but it was the river runs through it type fishing. And I was like, I got to be 30 feet away from these fish in order to catch them. And I was amazed that first Gold Cup I did. I'm like, I was still dry dropping at the time. I hadn't learned Euro yet. And I'm looking at these guys that I'm judging, I'm like, how can you be that close to those fish and still catch them?
Yeah.
And I'm like, over time, over the last 2 or 3 years, I started getting, more confident in Euro and be able to, just call that muscle memory of, what that fly is going to do. Is it a 3 millimeter bead or is it a 2 millimeter bead, and how far it's going to drop and stuff like that. So it's been interesting over the last 2 years, and getting my son involved too, because it's something that he wanted to do. It's like, Dad, take me fly fishing. So I don't know if he knows how to cast fully, but he knows how to Euro now, so that's all good. So it's something we can do.
Definitely. So, Kevin, what would you say if you learned, you started back in, what you've picked up a lot?
All my life since I was a little rod, but then kind of got into fly fishing. Just one day I said I want to buy one and go try it, and it's probably about 7 years ago. And I learned a lot. I did a lot of YouTube stuff, like just watching YouTube videos and just reading books and just going out and trying it. But I think there's only so much you can learn on your own. And then take guiding trips, you'll learn a lot. And then being around team members, being around people that are, in anything, you're going to be around people that are better than you, you're going to get better. That's just how it is.
Right.
Like you surround yourself with people that are really good, you're going to get better. So it may be a rough couple of months learning, but it pays off in the end when you see yourself doing better than what you were before. You see yourself learning different things, trying new things that you wouldn't know before. Like I wasn't big on weights before. I knew patterns. I know weights now, but even as far as a weight, but something's bigger in diameter, it may sink slower, and you need something with the same weight that's a lot slimmer to get down. I would have never known that.
Yeah, and then you also gotta humble yourself, because when you first start, you're getting your tail kicked, but you're learning from it, right? And eventually, you start, your placings go up. And
that first Gold Cup, I was like 19th out of 20th or something like that, and then the second Gold Cup, we were like 8th out of 20 or something like that. Yeah. And so it's like 2 years passed, and I'm like 3 years or whatever it was. And I'm like, this is awesome. Just getting better. And then the Cherokee comp, that was even better this year. I did one of the Cherokee tournaments, and I did great, I thought. And just to be able to watch other people too. Yeah. And seeing new people. Like today, I got to watch Robin fish today, and I still learned a lot
Bro, I like judging almost as much as I like
Yeah.
fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Especially starting off. I told Elijah, the first person I ever judged, and I was like, I love judging more than anything.
Yeah.
I learned so much watching
Oh,
that.
absolutely. Yeah. Now, one thing I would like to work on, Ben, is we were talking about dead drift doesn't take just anybody, right? And F3 is the same way, and I know other teams are too. So there is a group of people, I think, and you're starting to see it on social media now, and we're trying to do these to let more people know that it's out here and get more involved so there's more people that can carry the load, like you were talking. But there's a lot of people that want to be on teams, and if all the teams are picky about, you know what I'm saying? There's a disconnect there with the general population, and I would encourage to find each other, find people, and start more teams.
Yes,
you know,
we need more teams, 100%. And I'll tell you, like I told back in the Trout Legend days, because I essentially helped Billy Beard help start Team Georgia. Back then, Dead Drift, Mark, you remember when we had Team Dead Drift Mid-Atlantic, Team Dead Drift Virginia, Team Dead Drift Tennessee. I mean, do you remember those?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we were always big about, starting other teams. The only reason they were tied to Dead Drift was because back then in Trout Legend, you had in the cup races, at the end of the year, you could, whatever team finished the best toward the end, we just wanted to have Dead Drifts. We were helping them get there. If it was going to be Dead Drift, we were good about trying to get there. It was all strategy at that point. But we were still pretty cohesive in the same online kind of presence. And in those different regions, because back then those different cup events were in different areas. Like Dead Drift Tennessee, we had one in Tennessee. Dead Drift Tennessee is like, can help Team Dead Drift Georgia out. Hey, we're coming up there to fish your cup race event. We're still the same team. Help us out.
Yeah.
We're going to West New York to do the CNY. And we're going to, we need help with that. So Dead Drift Mid-Atlantic. It was a strategic way that each team could benefit off of each other, which was cool, but it was a lot to manage. That was a whole lot of stuff going on. And really, that was just too much. But that's the reason when Team Georgia came about. I was like, no, y'all need your own thing. Like, we need more separate teams. We need guys, like you're saying, to help share the load. Chris Abele is awesome. And really, there's no limit on how many teams that can be in this league.
Right.
You can start a team with 2 or 3 people.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I think that would be that'd be beneficial.
2 people. You could
Yeah,
2 people could absolutely start a team.
And really, I personally believe, just from the applications that Dead Drift receives and people interested in all these other teams, if you start a team with 2 people, you're going to get people interested just knowing that, hey, there's a new team started. I don't know that much about it. They don't know much about it. I'll fit right in at first. It's not like this feeling like, man, these guys are way better than me. I'm never gonna be able to be like that.
And I don't care what your skill level is, just being around it, being in the competitions, you're going to learn. You're going to pick up stuff,
100%.
And all of a sudden, the guys that you see, I call them wreck anglers, but let's just say people that don't compete, that sometimes can struggle, right? You see them maybe doing the wrong thing sometimes. It's like,
kind of want to help them out.
yeah, you can kind of change that, just by.
Because it makes you a better angler, period. Like, I think all of us can attest, before my competition days, after I won't say right now, because it's been a while since I've been in the game, but there was a dramatic difference from when I used to not compete, and then when I competed a lot, to like my success on the water daily. Like, it was dramatic. And I think everybody experiences that. Because you think about everything a little different. You don't walk by water that you wouldn't necessarily fish before. Because now you're like, I know I can catch a fish right there.
Yeah. And casting, I mean, it's, it's a big deal. It's like golf short game, right? It's all a lot of feel sometimes. And
like today, there was one on beat 2, there was one section of water that I would have definitely walked over 2 years ago. And I caught 5 fish in 6 casts. And it was just 5 feet of water. I don't know why the fish were there. They were just there.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm going to go over there and try that.
Well, you probably had your ideal type of water beforehand, before you learned this, right? And you would go to those spots, and now you're changing because you're seeing different things. Definitely. So today, I mean, we've been on a, I don't know, when was the last SFL League event?
Months ago.
Last of Bradley's.
Yes, that was March.
So we've all been on hiatus because of the big COVID deal, and I'm telling you, man, it will get you agitated, not being able to fish and hanging around your boys.
Yeah, that was real nice. I mean, that's the other thing people don't realize. It don't matter what team you're on. At these events, the atmosphere, the camaraderie that you get is the best part about it. Because even though you may be on a different team, like we're all, just like right now, we're all buddies. I mean, y'all are my buds, man.
Yeah.
You know, if I fished a section of water, I see somebody do something, you know, I see you struggling, I ain't going to withhold it from you.
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey, man, you know what? I was doing a Snoopy pole earlier, putting a dangle in the water.
Yeah.
You know, I got 3 fish on it. It was stupid, but it worked, and you might get
Yeah.
And that's just the way I like it, man. It's like a whole group. Even though we're different, we have our own little separate families. At the end of the day, we're a small part of this fly fishing culture. Right. And it really bothers me, and I've fought it for so many years because I've done this for so long, is fly fishing is so small as it is. And there's this big mindset from still a large portion of the fly fishing community that competition fishing is negative. Now, I'll tell you, I've been down this road a lot. So I've seen the negative, I've seen the positive, I've seen the stuff people do that are just immoral people. That doesn't matter if they were fly fishing or doing something else.
Yeah.
That's with anything. You can't just blame it on the
It's not a group, it's an individual basis.
It's not a sport problem, it's a heart problem. Just like a lot of stuff we're dealing with nowadays. But as a small culture, anyway, fly fishing, like the fact that we need to kind of overcome that. You know, a lot of us are the guys that, you know, I saw a guy come out the river today. I think it was Nick this morning, came out of one of the beats with a net full of trash. You know, so I mean that was good. You know, if all of us did that, that'd be awesome. Now, sadly, you know, the next weekend it'll probably be trashed up. But you know, while we're there, we can do something small to help it out. There's a lot of things we can do with this sport, I think, that can be beneficial. You just have to take the time, and you have to really.
Well, and if you see a tournament going on, those guys are using barbless hooks.
Yes.
And the fish go right back in the water. You know what I mean? Untouched. I mean, virtually untouched, because we're measuring them in the water most of the time in the net, and they go right back in.
And we're landing them crazy fast most of the time. Like, we don't spend a lot of time overplaying fish. You know, they come in, they go in a score trade, then they're gone. And we can as a resource. You know, I don't think we do. I have only witnessed one competition the whole time I've been doing this, where a fish was mishandled, and it asked in a way in which the fish died. And at that time, it was done by a judge, a volunteer judge, not even the competition angler. And you know, that person was educated and stuff. And some people just don't know. Some of these guys, you know, they come to some of these big pig farm places, and you see these comp guys catch a fish, and their wife's up there, and this is what happened with this situation. And the guy he measures the fish, and instead of letting it go, he wants to get a picture with it with his wife, and you know, he keeps it out in the water too long, and eventually the fish doesn't recover. And sometimes, you know, that's one reason I like. Sometimes you get these volunteer judges that do not know how to handle fish, and that's one reason that this format that we use with SEFFL, where we're using the competition anglers to be the judges during other sessions, we know how to handle these fish. You know, we learn how to do it quick, how to do it safely, and get the fish going. Because in reality, we may have to fish that beat the next day.
Oh, yeah.
And we want that fish there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You definitely got to protect your resources.
Right, yes, protect your resources. Yeah.
And if you handle that fish gently and put it back in the water, he'll eat again in 2 minutes.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
Caught the same fish a couple of times. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely believe in that.
Okay. Well, Mark, good to have you on here, man. And wish you were here with us this weekend fishing.
Yeah, Mark, we appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. Enjoyed it, guys. And, I'd love to be there. Maybe I'll see y'all at the tournament one of these days.
Sounds good. Talk to you later.
Take care, guys.
See ya.